We are the Cold Year. I'm Matthew Skaggs. I play guitar and sing.
I'm Josh Cannon. I play drums.
I'm Mitch. I play bass.
He's our
bass player.
Bass player. It's a long, difficult story. Basically, I had started the Cold Year to be kind of a backing band for my solo project.
Matt Skaggs in the Cold Year.
Matt Skaggs in the Cold Year. And then the members kind of fell away fairly slowly, and then I met Mitch through like a jam session here at UVU.
About 2014.
2014, yeah. And we met and we started jamming, and then our drummer left and we got a new drummer, and then that drummer left and then we got a new drummer, and then that drummer, we kicked that drummer out, and then we got a new drummer, and then that drummer broke his arm, and then we got a new drummer, and that's Josh.
I think we're missing a drummer or two.
Yeah, we're probably missing 5 or 6 drummers in there.
It's a while.
They kept dying. It was really sad.
Well, one of them was old enough that he might have died.
Yeah. So that's kind of the story. The iteration that it is right now is the strongest it's been, because we've, like I've said, the Cold Year started off as like a solo project with a backing band, and then once other Mitch and other drummers were like contributing to this music, we started just calling by the Cold Year because it wasn't just me anymore. So, yeah. Oof. Josh?
A lot of stuff. I'm mostly like into like progressive, like heavy stuff. One of my favorite bands right now is Pliny. They're just like instrumental, like super melodic solos stuff.
They're cool.
You never
I like
knew
Pliny.
that?
I like Pliny. Yeah. I really like
yeah,
music.
Pliny I like that, but I grew up on like Avenged Sevenfold and like Metallica, and then a mix with like oldies because my dad was a big. He was a drummer in the '80s, and so he really liked like Boston and Kansas, Styx, all that stuff. So all that.
Any band that's named after a state or a city.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All of those.
I'm really into Milwaukee, the band.
Milwaukee. Salt Lake City's just the most hardcore. I grew up mostly listening to punk music, alt rock, a lot of emo stuff. My favorite bands are like Green Day and My Chemical Romance. So like, definitely early 2000s, like cut your wrist and black your eyes.
Yeah. Emo and punk
tonight.
Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, and Flea. A lot of my Red Hot Chili Peppers kind of dashed in there. Like
lead bass
you really
playing.
hear that coming out of
I try.
I just don't know why you don't play naked more like Flea does. It's so annoying.
The sock doesn't fit.
Yeah, all right, you're right. And
make one big enough.
I listen to a lot of music. I grew up on like Bob Dylan, Wilco, kind of more alternative, like folky kind of stuff, but I discovered Tom Waits when I started writing music, and Tom Waits has been a big influence on my entire writing and performing, philosophy. But right now, like, I'm super into pretty straightforward, like, psychedelic blues. I love King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, the OCs, Fuzz, Ty Segall, all those bands. But I also am, like, literally on the way over here, I was listening to Julie London, who's like a old school jazz singer. She's really great. So I listen to pretty much everything. So
I've never heard weirder music than when I'm in the car with Matt for an extended amount of time.
I love discovering new music and listening to new music and stuff, like
wildest assortment of
yeah.
tunes.
I listen to a lot of hip hop too. Like I'm super into like Anderson .Paak right now, and like Atmosphere and hieroglyphs and stuff like that. So, but yeah.
Man, they've been in and out so long. I mean, like
I know. I always just wanted to have fun and play shows. That's like all I really care about.
Same, really. Like just enjoying what we're doing. I mean, we have fun. It's passion music. It's all really, really fueled by our our emotions and everything like that. We have really, really dense parts, and we all play exactly the way we want to play our parts. And we all have a lot of our own taste into our music and stuff that way. And then, like, we get to portray that for people and show, like, I don't know, provide an experience is what we've been told.
Yeah,
that's really the most important thing to me.
Yeah, like my like goal is to just make art that I'm happy with, that I'm proud of, and if that art, takes me somewhere professionally or whatever, makes me money, then great. But ultimately, I would be happy just performing, making my own music the way I want to make it for the rest of my life, and I'd be happy. Like, I'm happy right now. I mean, of course, I want to push myself, and I want to get better, and I want to play bigger shows, and I want to sell out venues and stuff, like, obviously, but I don't want to have to compromise my music. That's my biggest one, because again, like, I come in with a guitar part and a vocal part, and I sing it, and then I just let these guys go and do whatever we want, and then we all feed back off each other. Again, like, that's why it's called the Cold Year and not Matthew Skaggs and the Cold Year, because I'm not telling them what to do or how to do it. It's a collaborative, group, and that's exactly where I want to be. So
if I could be in the Cold Year for the rest of my life and keep playing some sweet jams and
Hell
still have a steady income of some from either that or anything else, I'll be happy.
Yeah, same. Guillotine.
Or 30-23rd.
Yeah.
Guillotine's always been one of the big ones, just because it's got so much
depth,
grit to it.
Dynamic.
It's like, it's got everything. But I mean, newer favorite definitely has to be Spanish Necks, because the stuff at the beginning of it that really, I don't know, it's just a different feel than a lot of the stuff we've done.
That's true.
Because everything I write is kind of my idea, my iteration of a style of music that I really like. Spanish Necks is off the new album, and it's a Latin jazz song. It's my version of a Latin jazz song. It's really fun to play because it is so, like, I tend to write guitar parts that are a little outside of my realm of being able to play, and I have to practice and practice and practice and practice and get really good. But Spanish Necks is like one of the easiest songs I've ever written as far as like the chord progression goes, because there's 3 chords and then 6 chords and then like the punk bridge part. So it's super easy to play. So it's really easy to play and kind of dance to. And plus we have like this big solo that we take at the beginning of the song that's gets everyone really hyped for kind of the opener. So Spanish Necks, Guillotine, it's nice to see people's reaction to songs like Ammonia or O Eve or Salted Floor are really emotionally deep, sad songs, because there have been times where we've like performed a song and I've looked in the crowd and like someone's like, oh
crying,
oh my god, because
or there's
usually it's me.
You just get off the stage, cry a whole bunch, then climb back on. It's just like, oh my god, this song was amazing.
Wow, I'm so good at this.
We have a few friends that sing those songs, and that's really the best feeling in the world, is when your fans or your friends and they're there and they sing the songs back.
Yeah, they sing along.
And some of those bigger emotional songs tend to have that. Which is awesome.
Yeah.
He comes up with a bass, like, here's the kind of the generic structure and a few lines of lyrics that I'm going to change a million times.
Yeah.
I'm not going to remember the words for the first probably 50 times we practice it, but here's kind of some ideas, and then he starts throwing a drum beat to it, and I kind of try and throw it to the bass. And
then we feed off of each other.
And then we kind of take it from there. There's songs that, he initially had a few, like, 5 or 6 songs that we started with, and we still play a few of them. And we've kind of what we've called guillotine them after we wrote Guillotine, and we changed it a few times, and we've taken old songs and fixed them up and changed them. But mostly structure and then adding our own. Yeah. That's not.
All right.
Living or Dead, that's too many people.
Yeah, that's tough. Josh? Zeppelin?
That's just, I've always wanted to experience one of their shows.
Yeah, it would be nice to meet them and watch them live, because I'd kill to catch Zeppelin play live.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I think for the type of music we play, it's really hard, because we have such a niche kind of style.
Yeah.
And I'd want something that would emphasize that style. Between classic rock and jazz, someone that really... I don't know.
It's tough, because like that's been one of the most difficult things about being the Cold Year, is because we aren't a punk band. We aren't a rock band. We're not a blues band. We're not a jazz band. We're kind of everything. We usually tend to play with rock and roll, blues kind of bands, just because that we do have a lot of that blues influence is in there. But even then, like sometimes we'll play with a blues band and everyone's just like, "What was that?" Like, and it's difficult at times because we will play a show for a specific crowd, and the crowd will, you know, afterwards no one will talk to you or want to make eye contact, and you're just like, oof, like this wasn't
like when we
right
played a metal show.
Yeah, the crowd. This isn't quite the crowd we expected. I would have to say Zeppelin is a great answer because ridiculous, but I would probably have to say like Steely Dan or like Unknown Mortal Orchestra or King Giz. Like I worship Unknown Mortal Orchestra and Ruben, you know, and he's got a very similar approach to me in that, you know, he infuses everything in kind of this one style, and his music's very eclectic and different. One song's very funky and the other's very quiet, and I feel like we would do really well with them. So, you know, if you're out there watching this right now, I'm just kidding.
Led Zeppelin, if you're out there.
Yeah, Zeppelin.
Yeah, Zeppelin.
Ruben, if you're out there, like, hit us up about opening for you, I guess. I don't know.
I guess if I really had to pick one, I mean...
Tom Waits.
Queen.
And you know what?
Queen.
I would pick Queen.
Oh.
I think just because their music is so epic, and I think our music fits that kind of epic feel. It tells a story. We try to get some crowd involvement, which was big on them and stuff like that. And I mean, a lot of their songs, especially their older songs, have a really dynamic feel to them. And
yeah, I like dynamics a lot in music.
And so, like, and plus I just watched that movie with
Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, I was about to say.
It was so good. It was just kind of cool.
Yeah. Tom Waits would be another one because then I would just give him the lyrics to all of our songs and just have him sing because I'd rather have some old guy screaming our lyrics through a megaphone than me having to deal with it. So. Ooh. I have two. Our album release show that we did when we released our first album, Praise the Goat, the venue fell through at the last minute, and so we literally had nowhere to play it. And my friend Eric basically said, "You can do it at my house." So we were like, okay, cool, we'll make it a house show. So we set up everything. We got the bands together. We set it up, and then the night of, there was a U of U BYU. It was the
BYU U of U game, the Holy War, basically.
Yeah, the Holy War
up at the Youth Stadium, and it was right across the street from the house. Mm-hmm. So, like, throughout the night, we had people just walking in off the street, just listening to music and coming through. The game ended, and I believe the Utes won, because they kind of always do.
And so, everyone was drunk, you know, because it's the U, and they were all really excited because they were literally coming from a football game, and so people just kept streaming in. They packed the place, and we sold so much stuff, like so many CDs, and we sold shirts and posters and everything, and it was such a positive vibe. Like, at one point, I think I just went into the crowd and just started hugging people because it was just such a positive experience.
There's just hundreds of people in and out. It's really cool.
Yeah. My second favorite show that we've played is me and my friend Jason Knoll do a backyard concert at my parents' house because my mom and dad live on this really beautiful golf course, and my mom's like a landscaper, so she has this beautiful backyard. And we put on a show called Skagstock every year in August, and we have done it for the past 5 years. This 2018 was 5th year. This year is going to be the 6th year. And pretty much every time we've played those, it's been just great because, again, it's just love. Like, just because I only invite the bands that I love and people that I know and bands that I'm super into. You know, I've had, like, last year, one of my old students who I taught guitar to, I invited his band to play, and it was super great. And getting all these different musicians that we love from all over to just play like a fun, chill concert in a beautiful backyard.
And we make it free, and then people come in from around the neighborhood, or people bring their friends and family, and those are really cool.
Yeah. So, Josh?
I probably like this last show we did at Urban Lounge.
Oh, it was good.
Best. Yeah. It was like a lot more people than I was expecting, and the sound was awesome.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of people there that had never seen me play drums before ever, and it was like kind of like a really cool, in my life anyway, to have a lot of people come and see.
Yeah, no, the Crucial Showdown show was also a lot of fun.
That was really good too.
It was. I was really happy with it, but it's also because we were, pretty amped up about it. So that was fun.
Yeah.
My favorite shows. We had a lot of good ones back in the day when we played at Muse, and I loved a lot of those shows specifically. I mean, the house show, the album release was definitely a big one too. But I think like if I was gonna pick two big ones, we played at Velour a long time ago, and we got on stage and we just kicked the door in.
Yeah,
we just went hard, and like because we played with a lot of bands that we normally would not play with, and we had played with some bands that we just didn't really like very much. Just their style was very different. It wasn't our style, and it was kind of like a night that we knew wasn't going to like really...
Well, because like we know that we're not really super Provo friendly because a lot of our music has kind of anti-religious themes, and we're heavy, kind of in your face and stuff. And Provo tends to lean a little more towards like acoustic
pop,
and indie
radio
pop,
friendly.
radio friendly stuff because of BYU and such. So we knew that we weren't gonna really be. People weren't really going to like us very much, so we just were like, and we just threw it all out the window, and we didn't care, and we just played. And those are always the best shows, is when you just do not care. And like like Mitch said, like we kicked the door in, and it felt really good.
We just got on stage, and I mean, jumped around. Even got the crowd really into it and things like that. Matt jumped off on stage.
Yeah.
We ended the show. My strap broke on my bass. I was just jumping around so much and doing things, and really, really awesome. And then like some of the very last shows at the Muse were just really, really cool and kind of emotional, heartfelt because we're such good friends with Darcy that ran it. And love you, Darcy. If you see this, we all do. So
yeah. The Muse shows were always a lot of fun. But yeah, I agree with that. I've forgotten about the Velour show because it was one of those shows where after we played, like people weren't like making eye contact with me, and I was just like standing in the crowd, and people were like.
Also, back then you had like really long, crazy hair and like a huge beard. You can just see his hair like whipping around like Metallica style, just flying.
So I feel like people. It was a combination of people being like, "Ooh, that's a little scary for me," and also. Oh, he's a little scary right now.
He's a little in your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, those were awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.